I think that's pretty compelling because on one hand, you've got replace Visa and MasterCard. They charge 2.5% of the value of all money that moves on a credit card system in the world. That's huge, right? Think about what 2.5% of all the money spent on earth is. Does it need to be that way? No, because you can do a $37 Lightning transaction for one Satoshi. One Satoshi is 1/2000th, right? 1/2000th of like a cent or something. It's
Wow.
ridiculously small. So I think that the killer applications are, they could be remittances because 10% of remittance money gets scraped off by the remittance providers. They could be credit card payments because 2.5% gets scraped off by credit card payments. But they could also be just revolutionary new ideas. Like,
Mhm.
when you go on YouTube, you can post a comment even though you're not a person. So if I go on your YouTube and then I criticize you, and what if I just created a robot that created 197 million fake accounts to criticize you? There's no real cost to spam, scam, denial of service, and just malicious bots in cyberspace. On the other hand, if you had to post a $20 deposit and maybe 100,000 Satoshis in a Lightning wallet and plug it into YouTube or plug it into your Yelp reviews or your Google Maps reviews or your Amazon reviews. And if you got caught scamming or spamming or being malicious and you had to pay a fine or forfeit the deposit, it would clean up all of cyberspace. So I think that there are mega applications to deliver Bitcoin via the Lightning Network to billions and billions of people. And if I was creating a company right now, I'd probably create some kind of technology or some kind of company in order to deliver digital energy at the speed of light for cyber commerce or cyber security or some other kind of revolutionary application like that. That you can't do it with Western Union, you can't do it with the bar of gold, and you're not going to do it with Visa or MasterCard. They're all just too expensive, too cumbersome, and too slow to make sense. But with Bitcoin on a Lightning Network, you can do things at the speed of light a million times a second with a computer program. There's no reason why that shouldn't spread to 8 billion people on the planet and be used billions of times a day.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite amazing. Okay, so let's talk about MicroStrategy. The company's legacy software business is enterprise intelligence analytics. Does this tie into Bitcoin, or are there plans for MicroStrategy to at some point create software that surrounds Bitcoin?
We always think about these things. About a year ago, we had a $500 million business growing about 0% a year, and we had a $500 million balance sheet paying 0% interest. And then we got into Bitcoin, and that $500 million balance sheet paying 0% interest became a $5 billion balance sheet growing much faster. Bitcoin's growing 130% a year on average for a decade. So we all of a sudden have a very big Bitcoin business. The $500 million enterprise software business is now growing about 10% a year. So we were able to get a boost on the business intelligence software business by entering Bitcoin. And I think the reason why is because it boosted our brand by a factor of 100. It boosted our credibility with all the CXOs and all of our customers by a factor of 10. It was really great for employee morale and employee retention. It cut our attrition rates dramatically. And if you're an employee and you're holding stock or stock options and the stock increases by a factor of 5 over 12 months, then that's motivational. You feel like you're winning. So it became easier for us to recruit and easier for us to retain all of our talent. And then we got this great new set of channels on Twitter and YouTube where we could get our message out 100x greater, 100x cheaper. So I would say Bitcoin is a benefit to the core business. It's a second order benefit.
Mhm.
It's a first order benefit to our balance sheet and our shareholders, and the two of them have worked out well together as a complement.
Mhm. So how challenging is it to evaluate the correct timing on when to raise money and when to buy Bitcoin?
Our view is that Bitcoin is a good idea forever. It's just going to keep going up forever with some volatility. So if you focus in on the volatility, then you're going to give yourself anxiety. We acquire Bitcoin 4 different ways. We acquire Bitcoin with our cash flows from our enterprise software business. So you can think of it as we're like a synthetic Bitcoin miner. We generate a lot of cash flow from selling business intelligence software. And as we generate that cash flow, we convert it into Bitcoin. And we just do that as the cash comes available. If we have more than $50 million of cash, then we're not going to invest it in a bank account yielding 0.01% interest. We're just going to buy Bitcoin with it. The second way we get Bitcoin is we issued secured debt. So we issued a $500 million junk bond, and that yields 6.125% interest. So we pay 6.125% interest for the bond, which is a 7-year bond. If you think the Bitcoin's going to go up more than 6% a year over the next 7 years, then that's very accretive. Obviously, all of our shareholders, and we think Bitcoin will go up more than 6.125% interest per year. So we do that, and we evaluate the debt markets continually to see whether or not we can issue more debt like that, and those rates change. The third way we buy Bitcoin is with convertible debt. So we issued one convertible note that paid 75 basis points and bought $650 million worth of Bitcoin, around like 20,000 a coin. And then we issued another $1,050 million note at 0% interest. And we bought Bitcoin with that. And, we always evaluate the convert markets. And then the fourth way is we issue equity. Either we issue equity because employees might convert or might exercise their stock options, and we get cash flow from that equity issuance. Or we can sell equity via an at-the-market shelf registration. With regard to the stock options, we don't have a choice. When the employees sell the stock options, we get the cash, we buy Bitcoin. With regard to the shelf registration, well, if our stock looks like it's trading at a premium to the underlying Bitcoin that we could buy with it, then we would sell the stock, buy the Bitcoin, because we're trying to drive up the number of Satoshis per share we have. If our stock is weak and Bitcoin is strong, then we wouldn't. And so we're very opportunistic with regard to that. We're just considering whether or not it would be accretive to all the common stock shareholders to sell that equity. And the market is very volatile, as you know, and there are some days when it makes sense and other days when it doesn't make sense. So we're always balancing those four. The objective is just to acquire more Bitcoin. We never sell the Bitcoin. We're up to about 114,000 Bitcoin that we've acquired. I'm sure we'll buy more. We'll buy more from some combination of those. There are other alternatives. We've got billions of dollars of Bitcoin that is unpledged as collateral. And so in theory, we could do asset-backed financings in the future of some sort, where we pledge $1 billion of Bitcoin to borrow some money to buy more Bitcoin. We just consider what are the debt markets offering? And then does this strengthen our balance sheet or not? And we only want to do things that strengthen our balance sheet, that are accretive to our shareholders. And so it's step by step, always considering the dynamic of all those things.
Very cool. Okay, so in October last year, you disclosed your personal Bitcoin holdings. Do you continue to buy Bitcoin personally?
Well, I can say that I've never sold a Bitcoin. And then from time to time, I consider the matter again. But I still have all that Bitcoin, and I haven't made any other announcements about future acquisitions of Bitcoin, but I may.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts and expertise with us today, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning into the show today. Consider hitting that subscribe button on your way out.